How would you describe a yellow crayon to a blind person?
I'm colorblind, so that doesn't count. I'm Jace Hakinson, and this is my story. So my story starts in Aurora. I grew up in like a Christian family, Christian home. Went to church, did all the stuff that a typical Christian family does. I accepted Christ at a pretty young age. It was actually after watching a film called The Jesus Story for Kids, and it like told the story of Jesus' life and like through his death and resurrection. And at the end, it had like a questionnaire for the people watching the video. And I just remember like some of the questions like hitting home, and I'd be like, well, I want to learn more about this. So like I had a conversation with my dad that night of what it looked like to accept Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior. And that night, like I prayed the prayer to let Jesus in my life. But after that, there wasn't like a lot of change. Like there may have been like an attitude change, and that like I was trying to be nicer to people and trying to put on this face of like, oh, I just accepted Christ, so I have to be nice to people, which you should be. My life went on and stuff. I was going to church still, and it's kind of rough because at the church I went to, I didn't always feel welcomed at programs, and being picked on and stuff like that just kind of drew me away from the church. And during that time, there wasn't like a lot of growth or anything going on during that period in my life. I would do things like avoiding homework at school, so I'd have an excuse not to go. And this went on for a while, and we eventually moved on from that church and moved to a different church where I kind of got into the same tactics, but I felt like I was learning more and being fed more, but still just kind of hesitant on the whole community aspect again of feeling comfortable with it. But in middle school, I ended up getting really sick for like a really long time. And I just remember people from the church reaching out to me and really investing me in that time and being worried and praying for me. And I was just like, oh, this is really cool. This is what a community should look like. And not one that's like tearing people down, but building each other up. And after I had gotten through that sickness, like I saw that continue in my life of people within the church pouring into me and openly wanting to have conversations about the Lord and what he's been doing in my life. So that was really cool that I kind of got really connected with the community, and that carried on throughout my whole high school career up till when I was looking for a college. And looking for a college, I ended up at Wayne State and got connected with the community of Crew, where I just saw a bigger community, even more pouring into, which was all great. And I was like, man, this is the group that I want to, be winning the kingdom with. So I really focused on, getting involved in stuff on campus and, being out there. But with all that, like, the community being great and being poured into that way, like, I was neglecting a lot of time and spending in the Word just by myself and growing in that way as well, which is something I started realizing as my college career went on, which started with, me seeking out ways of getting into the Word more, just digging in deeper with people through things like discipleship. And I'd say it's still something I'm working on today of just, delighting and digging into the Word and growing in my walk even today, even though I'm, been here for 4 years and trying to leave and go on and working in ministry or whatever I'm going to be doing after being here. Like in the Psalms 1, it talks about just how a blessing it is to being able to follow the Lord and being able to dig into his word. Following him, you're going to be able to be planted like a tree next to a river. That's like branches are going to be bearing fruit. And like that's what I've seen so important most recently, and like when I'm going to go out into the world, it's just like, how am I going to be planted firmly, and how am I going to be able to bear fruit? Well, it's by having this relationship with Christ. It's not trying to work towards a salvation or anything, but just growing in knowledge and in love with him. So there's a connection between heart and head knowledge, and not just a heart for willing out and serving people. We need that, but we also need that time with him as well. This is a story of how Jesus has changed my life. Has he changed yours?
Grace